Hey everybody, how's it going out there? Welcome to Movies and Music with AJ. My name's AJ, and today I'm excited to be reacting to Ghost World on its 20th anniversary. It had its world premiere in the summer of 2001 at the Seattle International Film Festival, and it went on to have a limited theatrical release in September of the same year. Honestly, I don't know too much about this film other than a couple of key facts. One of them being that it stars Scarlett Johansson, and this was years before she would go on to become the Black Widow in the Avengers movies. And then the other thing is that this is based on a graphic novel. I haven't read this graphic novel, but I will say there was a period of time, maybe starting 6 or 7 years ago, and lasting a few years, where I got really into graphic novels, especially a handful of graphic novels that were published by Fantagraphics, which is the publisher that published Ghost World. So yeah, for that reason, just before we jump into the movie, I did want to talk real quickly about some of my favorite graphic novels. And speaking of Fantagraphic books, gonna start with one of theirs, and this is one of my favorite graphic novels and highly underrated. I just don't hear anyone talk about it, but it is the graphic novel Good Dog. You might know if you watched my reaction to Pete's Dragon that I'm just a big softie for dogs. Of course, that movie was about a dragon, but they made that dragon look like a dog and act like a dog. So tears were shed in that movie. I was at one point just a blubbering mess of tears. But yeah, that's just because I love dogs. They're amazing. And this graphic novel is also amazing. It tells the story of a stray dog who's just trying to find his place in the world, sort of getting into misadventures. You know, there's funny moments and there's sad moments. And yeah, I discovered this story at a time really when I was sort of a stray dog in life, you know what I mean? Like I just didn't know where my place was. I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do. So yeah, this is a good story that works on a couple different levels. You know, one being if you're somebody who loves dogs, you know, this is a great story. But also just, you know, the metaphor of it, if you can relate to that idea of being someone who's trying to find their place in the world, this is also a good story for that. And next we're coming with more Fantagraphic books. This is from the artist Jason. I actually have a handful of his books. It's a pretty popular series, and he has a grip of books. I'm not even sure how many he's published, but they're all really great, the ones I have. And it occurred to me flipping through my collection that I don't actually own my favorite Jason book, which is On the Camino. And that book, it's interesting. It differs from a lot of his other books. It's essentially a graphic novel memoir in which he details this pilgrimage that he took across Europe by foot. He walked 500 miles across Europe as part of this religious pilgrimage that people do every year. And I don't believe he was a religious person when he did it. I think it was just more for just to sort of get out of his comfort zone and just have a new experience and put himself in a new situation, just so he could kind of learn about himself and just, he needed to kind of have this time of introspection to go on this pilgrimage. I believe it was his 50th birthday, and so he just took this 500-mile walking pilgrimage across Europe. And it's really fascinating. It's really interesting. But yeah, it's unlike a lot of his other work, which is more just surrealist and absurd and funny. But yeah, Jason. Highly recommend his graphic novels. Next up, not so much a graphic novel as much as just a graphic collection of absurd, silly, weird, funny sort of ideas and sketches, and that is My Dumb Dirty Eyes by Lisa Hanawalt. And the cool thing about this is you might not know Lisa Hanawalt's name, but you probably know her work if you have Netflix, and that's because she was the art director for BoJack Horseman. Again, fantastic show, great work. I feel like the art direction of that show is one of the things that really sold it. But yeah, this book has a lot of imagery that's sort of adjacent to or inspired by that show, but then it has also just a bunch of off-the-wall stuff that's just hilarious, absurd, and at times just super vulgar. I almost use it like a coffee table type of book, just to have out and flip through it every now and then. And of course, I'm also a lifelong Marvel fan. I grew up with the cartoons and collecting the trading cards and of course reading the comics. I think my favorite series that I've discovered in the last 5 to 10 years was the Matt Fraction run of Hawkeye, and I actually have the collected omnibus collection. But yeah, this is a good read, and also really good if you've been interested in reading the comics by Marvel, because the movies and the Disney Plus shows, but maybe you just didn't know where to start. This Hawkeye run is a good place to start. Obviously, you don't have to buy this, big, thick edition. I'm pretty sure they just sell, individual paperbacks that are just pieces of what is in this. But yeah, it's just really grounded, down to earth, and just a fun story, and, has its, sad moments too. So yeah, I recommend that. Last one from my collection that I want to talk about is Duncan the Wonder Dog, and this is my still sealed in plastic copy. That's why it might be a little shiny on screen there. Yeah, this book, God bless public libraries, right? Because this was just a random pick that I just grabbed off the shelves because it just looked interesting, and it was like, it's really thick as well. It's like, what is this, like, massive, bigger than the size of my head graphic novel with this little lamb on it. But yeah, I ended up reading it and just being really engrossed by the story. First of all, the story doesn't even kick in until maybe like 20 or 30 pages in. It starts off with just these really sort of atmospheric, mood-setting, but not a whole lot of plot or dialogue kind of scenes. And the story, it takes place in a world where animals are anthropomorphic and they live alongside humans. And as a result of this, there's a lot of friction between the animals and the humans. And, you get different factions within the animals, and some of them have sort of their own, liberation front in which they're fighting against human oppression, and basically they're sort of painted as a terrorist organization. So you get this human FBI agent who's trying to track down this animal group who's plotting something big. You get a lot of intrigue and suspense, and it's just a really good story, but it's also just interwoven with just all these moments of, like I said, just really moody, atmospheric, sort of tone poem scenes that just, you just kind of like just stare at the page, because it's just, they're really engrossing, but they're not really plot driven or character driven. There's just these moments that are just little insights into the world of this story, And yeah, just closing it out with one last mention, which is also from Fantagraphics, but it's a book I haven't read, but my wife has, and it's Luba, and it's part of the Love and Rockets series. And yeah, I feel like I need to get into Love and Rockets. It's way past due. I mean, I feel like as a Chicano that, it's part of the curriculum. There's no excuse for me to not read it. But yeah, my wife went through a period where she was reading a lot of Love and Rockets. And yeah, this Luba book is the prize of her collection as far as Love and Rockets goes. So yeah, any excuse to talk about graphic novels, I thought this would be a good time, because the film we're about to watch is based on a graphic novel. And again, that film is Ghost World. So let's go ahead and jump into it. This is going to be my reaction to Ghost World, directed by Terry Zwigoff from 2001. Let's go. There was just a time where music was just unabashedly fun and silly. I feel like so much music is just so self-conscious now. Like, you look at the people in that video and they're just having fun. Steve Buscemi. He's one of those actors that, you put him in a movie and your movie is automatically at least 10% better. That was a fun little intro. Is she gonna speak?
High school is like the training wheels for the bicycle of real life. It is a time, and above all, a sense of humor.
Yeah, this would have been around the time Spice Girls were big, right? Are those docks she's wearing? That's funny, my wife has a pair of docks that pretty much look just like that.
I liked her so much better when she was an alcoholic crack addict. She gets in one car wreck and all of a sudden she's the woman's perfect and everyone loves her. These assholes are saying I have to go to summer school and take some stupid art class. At least we'll never have to see any of these creepy faces ever again.
We have to get together this summer.
Yeah, that'll definitely happen.
Congratulations!
Todd, what are you going to be when you grow up?
Well, I'm majoring in business administration.
See, that's exactly the type of thing we're trying to avoid.
This has a very Daria feel to it. Although I will say, I am liking how stylish these characters are. Like, those are some pretty dope dresses. It's ironic that she failed art class, because art is apparently her deal.
My name is Alan, and I'll be your waiter this afternoon.
Can we call you Weird Al?
Has the
I'd
hair.
imagine so.
You should check out the personals of your future husbands and try to contact us.
Do you remember me? Airport shuttle. You, striking blonde with yellow dress, pearl necklace, brown shoes. I was the bookish fellow in the green cardigan.
Meet me at my favorite restaurant, Wow Show.
It's in the mall on Century Parkway. See you there, darling.
Listen, baby, you tell me you want to relax.
This establishing shot. That's a good lesson. Have fun with your establishing shots, especially if it's a comedy.
Well, hello there, young employee of the Sidewinder.
Look, I already told you guys, I'm not going to give you a ride.
And nature's nectar, wake up juice.
Nature's nectar.
Hey, you! What do you think this is, Club Med? It's America, dude. Learn the rules. Fuck you, English. You're buying me dinner first.
Buy me dinner first. I mean, guy's a jerk, but that was a pretty good comeback. Oh, it's not Buscemi that's here for the date, is it?
God, that is obviously him. God, this is totally unbearable. Oh my God. It's him. He's insane. We should follow him.
Insane or just frustrated because he got stood up for a date?
Come on.
A show of high school art at the neighborhood activity center.
Come on. What if he recognizes us? Do you have any old Indian records?
Indian records? I don't really collect foreign. There's some good stuff in here. You like old music?
Yeah. How about this one? Is that any good?
Nah, that one's not so great.
Or Crumb. It's like graphic novel Inception.
This is the one I'd recommend. We're here every Saturday.
He even has vinyl-sized bags. Look at that. This guy's a professional.
It was so cute how he had his own little bags. I thought I was going to start crying.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he should totally just kill himself. Where are we going? Let's go hassle Josh.
If she replaced the pants with a kilt, she would be dressed just like Rowdy Roddy Piper.
Hi, what's your name?
Norman.
Are you waiting for a bus?
Yes.
I hate to tell you this, but they canceled this bus line 2 years ago.
You don't know what you're talking about.
That's such a weird thing when that happens. Like, you ever try to be nice to somebody and it backfires? Like, they just end up being a jerk in return, or like making you feel like you did something wrong. It's like, I'm just being nice, I'm helping you out here, man. All right?
We came by to you. You were not home. Therefore, you are gay.
So
Signed, Tiffany.
I mean, it's a little sketchy, but also a little refreshing. But it's just funny just how, like, just raw and vulgar and just weird they are. Like, just saying inappropriate stuff all the time.
It took me a while before I got a chance to actually play it, but once I heard that song, it was like...
You liked it, huh? Yeah.
Do you have any other records like that?
There are no other records like that.
I've had that feeling so many times, you know?
Wow.
It's like discovering an album or a film that I just really love. And like, are there any like that? And there's just... The answer is usually no, there aren't any other like that. That's what makes it so special.
Erotic drama section. No, not 9.5, 8.5. The Fellini film.
I wonder how many times that mistake has been made.
Some records I will pay serious money for, provided that they're a sincere B+. Wrong! A digital transfer adequately mastered will sound identical to the original. Do you have a decent equalizer?
I'm loving this conversation.
Oh, come on, this is a fun party.
This party makes me thankful that Discogs.com exists now. The luxury of being able to buy rare used records from all over the world from the comfort of your couch.
Are all these records?
Bless the internet.
About 1,578 at this point.
You are like the luckiest guy in the world. I would kill to have stuff like this.
Please, go ahead and kill me.
Oh, come on.
You think it's healthy to obsessively collect things? Can't connect with other people, so you fill your life with stuff? I can't even remember the last time a girl talked to me.
I'm talking to you. I know I could get you a date in like 2 seconds.
Good luck.
By the end of the summer, you're gonna be up to your neck in pussy.
Jesus.
Okay, I'm liking the twist that this story is taking. I was worried that it was going to be them two as love interests, which, you know, no shame in anyone's game if you're into the whole May-December relationship thing. I just think it's so overdone on film, you know? Like, it seems to be the default in film. A young girl, like in her early 20s, late teens, with an older man in his 30s and 40s. It just gets so old when that's like every other romantic film is that premise.
Oh my God, we have to go in here. Come on.
Yeah, sure, very funny.
This place is a total riot. You have to lend me the money to buy this. Give me all your money, bitch. Where did you get that? You'll never believe it. Guess.
I hope once the pandemic starts to clear and, you know, it becomes less of a polarizing issue, that masks of all kinds just become normalized in daily life, and you'll just start to see people wearing these kinds of masks out in public.
So when are you gonna get a job?
Because, like, I gotta imagine people have gotten accustomed to a certain amount of anonymity that they didn't used to have in public pre-pandemic, right? You know, whether you like wearing masks or not, it's a different vibe. You put on a face mask and sunglasses out in public and you feel invisible, you know? But like in a good way. Like it's interesting. You can just kind of blend in and go about your life feeling like you're less likely to be bothered when you don't want to be bothered.
I'm taking a remedial high school art class for f***ups and re.
Words you can't say anymore.
Actually, technically, what he was mostly playing would more accurately be classified in the ragtime video.
Uh-oh.
Although, of course, not...
Check, please. Come on, rally, guy. Rally. Get it together. I can see why you haven't had a girlfriend in 4 years, bud. Ironically, you know, this character of Enid is so against going to college, but I'm willing to bet she'd find guys that are more her type if she went to college. Calico cut pants. You gotta give.
I don't really get it. Are you saying that things were better back then, even though there was stuff like this?
I suppose things are better now, but people still hate each other, but they just know how to hide it better or something.
That's a good point. There's an argument to be made, though, that, hey, at least if you're gonna be full of hate, keep that shit to yourself. Let everyone else just kind of go about their day in peace and not have your hate be put right in their face.
Yeah, let me have lots of butter on it.
Yeah, that did not seem appetizing. I love me some buttered popcorn. They just did a good job of making it look grotesque.
I was just joking around with the customers. It's my shtick.
We'll lose it.
Hi, I'm calling for... you placed an ad in the weekly over a month ago, and I cut the ad out, and now I'm not in the relationship anymore.
Wow.
This is really confusing.
Okay.
Somebody trying to humiliate me.
I think you should call her back.
When I talked to you on the phone, you just seemed so, I don't know, so harmless.
I love this song.
Is this where the date's gonna start to go wrong?
Oh, it's 10 o'clock already. We're gonna make that movie.
Oh, come on, man. It's quite the fade in.
So, where have you been? I've been looking all over for you.
There's been a lot of dope dresses in this movie. This one's definitely up there, though.
How are things going with, what's her name? Dana?
Dana. Pretty well. I should be going in a few minutes, and...
Is she even gonna ask how I'm doing?
Simon. Oh.
Hey.
Guess I'm a little early.
Kind of surprised he hasn't mentioned me. We're old friends.
Really?
Yeah. What is it now?
Are you still looking for a job? Okay, because Maxine thinks that she can get you a job at Computer Station.
Tell her to forget it. I don't need her help.
If that's... Yeah, mm-hmm.
Poor guy.
So, excuse me. So there's a stupid art show I'm going to tonight, and I want you to be my date.
I don't think I should. Dana just got out of a really bad relationship, and I don't want her to have the wrong idea.
What's her deal anyway? Did she actually tell you that you can't see me anymore?
No, she just doesn't understand how I would know someone like you.
Don't worry, I won't bother you anymore.
Norman's still sitting there?
Hello.
You know, you're like the only person in this world that I can count on.
I'm leaving town.
What's wrong with it? It looks totally normal. What am I supposed to say? Gee, I can't wait to live in some depressing shithole out in the middle of nowhere? Why don't you just tell me that you don't want to live with me anymore? I mean, you totally ignored me ever since high school ended. You're the one who's still living out some stupid 7th grade fantasy. Your own apartment. You.
She's just losing everybody close to her. Even Norman said he's leaving town. Yeah, those late teen, you know, post-high school / college years, those are some just emotionally turbulent times. Like, I imagine some people had their shit together at that age, but I don't know anybody who did.
Look, I just need someone to be nice to me for like 5 minutes, and then I swear I'll leave you alone. What's this?
That's Dana's. I'm supposed to be saving it for our 2-month anniversary.
She's kind of terrible, but she's an understandable terrible. You know, it goes back to what I was saying earlier about this just being such a turbulent time in most people's lives.
You're a beautiful young girl. I couldn't imagine you'd have any interest in me except as an amusingly cranky, eccentric...
You know what my number one fantasy used to be? Going off to some random place. And I'd just disappear. Just so sick of everybody. Why can't I just do what I want?
What do you want?
Uh-oh, I know where this is going. Don't do it. Seymour. She's bringing you down with her, buddy.
I really want to talk to you. I've been thinking about what you said about moving in here, and
I don't think she meant it. I think she was just saying what she felt she needed to say to get his attention in that moment. And now she regrets it.
Look, I'm really sorry about the other day. I don't know what's wrong with me. I really do want to move in with you.
That table looks like a big Oreo. Somehow her phone seems more dated than his.
I gotta show you this. It's really cool. Isn't it great?
That's such a dorky thing to be excited about, but I totally would be excited about. How annoying is it to try to set up an ironing board? They're all like, you gotta, stand it up, and mine just makes this creaky, annoying sound as you stand it up, and they're always just kind of unstable, and you have to find somewhere to store it. It's always a pain in the ass to put it away. You have to hit there's a little lever on the bottom of it, and then you have to slide it down and try not to crush your fingers. Yeah, I'd rather just have one that just comes out from the wall.
Hi. Enid, stepmother told me that she'd be here.
Where the f*** is she? I mean, she was supposed to be here 3 hours ago.
Did she just drive away like she said she wanted to?
Well, what do you expect? I mean, considering how he met you.
Oh no. She's gonna drop the truth bomb. Man, that's messed up. Why would you do that? Wow.
Look.
Feels just like a violation of friend code. You don't drop those kind of secrets.
I just quit my job this morning, and then I had a fight with Becky because I told her I wasn't going to move in with her. I guess I'll just have to figure myself out.
Enid, I'm not mad at you.
You're such a stupid idiot. Did you even look through the rest of the book? See?
Norman. The bus is gonna show up. Get out of here. I love the old-timey bus. Maybe it's like a Tyler Durden situation. She was Norman this whole time. I mean, in a way, she is kind of a Marla, and Seymour is kind of a Jack / whatever Ed Norton's character's name was in that movie. This is very bizarre. That's the closing shot, isn't it? Yeah, I think so. Okay, that was a pretty ambiguous and borderline sort of surrealist ending, especially for a movie that played pretty straightforward. I mean, there was some absurd humor and just fun stuff, but overall it felt pretty grounded, true to life. So the fact that it ended with that kind of an ending where, we had this character of Norman who was probably the most kind of absurd, surreal part of the movie. He'd been waiting at this bus stop that apparently had been out of operation for 2 years, and then magically eventually a bus just shows up, and this bus doesn't have any markings on it. Who knows what kind of a bus it is. And then if that wasn't weird enough, our main character hops on that bus at some point and drives away into the sunset. So now we're just wondering how much we're supposed to believe that that's actually what really happened, or if it was just sort of a daydream, or just sort of wishful thinking on her part. But yeah, overall, interesting movie. Everyone watches movies differently, but I definitely feel like there's a type of viewer, who has to like a character. That's a critique that some people will have. I didn't like this movie. Why not? Well, because the main character was unlikable. I didn't like them. And, that is definitely, I feel like I read that or I hear that, quite a bit when people are talking about movies and TV shows. And, my thinking on that is, for me personally, I don't have to like the main character. I just have to understand them on some level. And that to me is the difference. Because honestly, I don't think there was a single character in this movie that I found likable. but they were all interesting in their own ways, and they were all understandable. I understood where they were all coming from. The movie did a good job of putting us in everybody's shoes and, you know, making us understand and empathize with where they're at in life and, you know, why they're behaving the way they're behaving in any given moment. You know, one of our first introductions to Seymour is him just sort of road raging out in his car. You could think, oh, immediately we can write this character off. He's just some angry, crazy guy. But no, he'd just been stood up, you know, for a blind date for who knows, you know, how many umpteenth times. This could have been the 10th time that this has happened to him, and maybe he's just fed up and frustrated, and, you know, the wrong thing happens in traffic and he just goes into this shouting match. That might not be who he is 24/7, but in that one moment that we caught him, he was having a bad day. Same with our main characters. I mean, Enid wasn't likable, and the fact she made a lot of really shitty decisions that really hurt other people. But, you know, that's life. That's part of being 18 or 19 and, like, just graduating high school, being thrown out into the world. I remember those years like that. It's, like I said, it's just a turbulent time. You know, you're struggling with your own identity, trying to figure out who you are and what you want. And everyone, you know, you have school telling you one thing, you have your parents telling you another, your friends telling you something else. And, you know, you just have all these competing sort of interests in your life. And, you know, and meanwhile, you don't really necessarily know what you want either. So it's a very confusing time. It leads to a lot of irrational behavior, not to mention just all the hormones and, you know, all the biological stuff of being 18 years old. But then you have all the societal pressures. So yeah, it's a turbulent time in your life. So I appreciate that this movie portrayed these characters in that sort of way, where they're not likable, they're not perfect. They have moments of sweetness and tenderness, but they also have just really dark, ugly moments. And, you know, so I appreciate the realism and groundedness of that experience. You know, I get if you're going to spend 2 hours with a character, I get wanting it to be somebody who's likable. But man, some of my most favorite films and film characters are not likable. I mean, I think of Daniel Day-Lewis in There Will Be Blood, but also Daniel Day-Lewis in Phantom Thread. You know, those are two of my all-time favorite films. But yeah, those characters are not likable, but damn if it isn't fun to spend 2+ hours with those characters. Those are some compelling, fun characters, you know? And I understand where they're coming from. It's not a movie's job to make us like a character. It's a movie's job to make us understand a character. And even that is questionable. But I think that is what a lot of the time, you know, directors and screenwriters are trying to do. Is, you know, they're trying to get us to understand the arc of a character, you know, why a character is at where they're at in the beginning of the story and why they're at where they're at the end of the story, and making sure we understand that journey and putting us in that character's head. So yeah, I'm not trying to tell anybody that they're watching movies in the wrong way, just to say that if you are somebody who, you know, will criticize a film because you don't like the protagonist, just to think of it in that way. You know, just try thinking about it in terms of, well, do you at least understand where the character's coming from? That to me is a more accurate mark of whether or not a story is a good story and whether or not a movie is successfully doing what it's setting out to do. But anyway, yeah, just interesting movie. Glad I watched it. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you want to follow along with more of my movie reactions, we do this every Monday. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications. Signing out for today. This has been Movies and Music with AJ. My name's AJ. Thanks for watching and have a good day.